John Rock. Oh god.
Yep, welcome back to that.
Take two. Action. Welcome back to Would John Rather. How's your lockdown going?
Oh, are you asking us, not the audience?
Well, they can't reply. We keep asking them to, but they don't, so I've decided to stop addressing them.
That's fair enough. I've just eaten a whole Easter bunny and then forgot I left some ice cream on the side, so I've eaten as well. So I'm on a bit of a sugar high. I'm a little bit twitchy, not going to lie.
Oh, nice. Well, I woke up at a reasonable time, so I just had a nap, and for breakfast I'm having my last Magners.
I just got off a 2-hour work conference call, which was great. What the funniest thing about these sort of things is when people forget that they're on a conference call and don't mute their microphone and then just start shouting something random at people in their house about car alarms and God knows what.
Like that famous video where the bloke's kids burst in the back door and the nanny comes bursting in and just drags them out.
There was, I was reading, there was people that are having competitions to get the best Zoom background. There were conference calls and someone put that as their background and no one's been able to beat it. This little toddler in the very back corner, like waving her arms around in a big yellow cardigan.
There's been quite a few that have come, because I'd never heard of Zoom until the lockdown, but I saw one where the woman was on a Zoom call and forgot she was on the Zoom call and went to the toilet in front of like everyone in her office, and like remembered halfway through or whatever it was. And there was another one that I think it was a woman again, but I think it was the boss. She accidentally changed it so that her face was like the moon or something. Yeah, a potato, that was it, and couldn't figure out how to change it back. So she had to do the entire like conference call as a potato.
I've definitely seen one where there was a guy who was just completely naked and obviously like muted his microphone, so everybody on the call was like shouting like, "Mate, your camera's on, Jesus Christ, turn it off." But he's got it on mute, so he doesn't even hear that.
Oh dear. So, yeah, I guess to summarise, lives haven't really changed. John's still eating chocolate, I'm still drinking, you're still working.
I'm still naked in the office.
Naked in the office. Oh dear. Well, it's probably worth quickly... Oh, go on.
I was going to say, so just launch some questions.
Oh,
Lighten the mood.
I was just going to quickly thank everyone for their generous donations last week. It's anyone that didn't get a chance, it's still an active link. I'll keep sharing it. And last week's episode on Spotify's got the link on there, so it's still going. I think they've surpassed $2 million now. We haven't, just to confirm. That wasn't just us. But collectively, yeah, 2 million to go towards all of that good stuff that we discussed. Questions, John?
Would you rather have a huge cat or a small dog?
A huge cat.
We're talking like Maine Coon or Lynx type of thing here. Not a big cat, not like genetic big cat, cougar, tiger thing, just the largest domestic cat you could get your hands on.
What's can it be an ocelot?
If you want it to be.
Yeah, that's not a big cat. That's just a big cat.
It's bigger than a tabby.
Yeah.
It's more than a mountain lion.
It was difficult. So let me go through my my thought process where I was like,
Are you picking cat now?
Well, yeah, I'm picking the cat, but my thought process was initially to go for the dog because we've generally we've had regular sized dogs. We've never had anything like on the scale of you. But my mum, the last 4 dogs that they've had have all been smaller dogs, and I don't dislike small dogs. I don't think there's anything wrong with small dogs. And then I realised actually I am a cat owner now, which means I'm going to be a cat owner for quite a long time because I can't really get a dog while I've got the cats because they're house cats as well, so it'd be unfair. So I should probably go for the cat. And then I remembered that John's scared of dogs, so...
Even better.
Even better.
Well, I mean, depends how small this dog is. I'm thinking that I would get the smallest dog possible, which I could keep in an ice cream tub. Put some air holes in it, and
I was going to say, if you just want to not you get the Irish
Yeah, no.
steak, or you might want to put
Yeah.
else in.
No, I mean, I don't mean it in a cruel way. I'd make sure it was a nice environment for it, but it's just small enough that's a big enough space that it can run around in.
I'm worried that you've
Get a dog the
misheard.
size of a caterpillar.
Yeah, he said dog, not frog.
Yeah, but he didn't say how small.
Just has to be realistic.
I think you're bound by the laws of nature.
I'm sure that there's got to be a dog that's the same size as a caterpillar. There must be.
World's smallest dog. The smallest dog living in terms of height is a female Chihuahua called Millie, who measured 3.8 inches tall.
Okay, I don't really want a Chihuahua. I don't really like them.
Well, either way, that Chihuahua is the smallest recorded dog, and it's too big to fit in an ice cream tub.
Okay, fine. So we're looking at something about 10 centimeters tall. Yeah, I guess I'd prefer that.
You guess.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't really want a dog or a cat, but if I'm forced to have one, then the smaller it is, the less it can annoy me, maybe. See, I know this isn't the case for a lot of people, but the thing that puts me off getting a pet the most, like a dog or a cat, is I would not want them near me when I'm in bed. If people who love animals, they love cuddling their dog, like having it lick their face, sharing a bed with them. That's like the worst fucking thing I could ever think of. So if
Why?
it's nice and small, cause I don't want a dog near my face, and I definitely don't want it in my bed. So if I can just have one that's small enough that I can like put a barrier up that it can't jump over because it's small, then we've actually got a tolerable situation where I don't have to have the dog near me when I go to bed.
It would have to be quite a good barrier, because now you've decided that the dog is so small that it can probably fit through most gaps. I mean, it probably won't be able to get up onto your bed, but...
There won't be a gap.
No gaps.
No. Just like a small wall with a hinge.
So essentially what you've decided, because it would be so small as well, you probably wouldn't really need to take it out for walks that often, because it'd have to get plenty of exercise in the house. So essentially what you've got is a house cat or a Roomba that does poos.
I think what John's describing is a hamster.
Yeah. Yeah,
John's describing a hamster. Hamster would be John's perfect dog.
Yeah. Are there any hamster dogs?
Probably. So is it all animals, or is it just the idea of pets that you despise?
Before John clarified, he said that he's not interested in animals unless you can eat them. So the idea of pets is redundant. Why would you have something that you're not going to eat?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't have that maternal instinct towards pets that other people have. And I do like animals. I don't want to see them come to like harm.
According to your mother.
Hey?
You don't have any sort of maternal instincts according to your mother. She's now started bugging your brother for grandchildren.
Yeah. Well,
Giving up on you. Are you a lost cause, John?
Hopefully.
Well, no, I don't think it's so much that he doesn't want to continue the gene pool because he loves that competitive edge. I think he's probably waiting for his brother to have one so he can have another one, and then it could just be a new generation of like the family competition of who's better. Like that, and he doesn't want the excuse of, oh, but you're older, like he had against his brother. So he's waiting. That's the plan. I think if that's not the plan and I'm wrong, because I've been wrong a few times before, then it's because if he has a child, then chances are that he's going to be outvoted and have to get a pet in the future.
That's the main reason.
Yeah. If I could just have a kid, I'd have a kid. But I know he knows his wife. It's a 2-for-1 package. She only wants kids so she can get a cat.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
I'm not wrong. We're on to you. We're on to you, Kirsten. Always watching. I would love to get an ocelot because, as discussed plenty of times, I've become a cat boy. And if I got an ocelot, then I would have 3 cats, and then that is just the gateway drug to me becoming the next Tiger King.
Yeah, I was going to say it was a gateway drug to being Floridian.
Yeah, well, he wasn't in Florida. He was in Oklahoma, wasn't he?
He
True,
was in
true.
Oklahoma.
Tiger King.
Didn't know who was in Florida though.
Yeah.
Carol
That
fucking
damn
Baskin.
bitch, Carol Baskins. And she is still going. I feel like I need to take up the mantle.
I don't know
Okay,
if you
Matt-
saw in the that documentary was on though, and they brought up the map of where all the like big cat sanctuaries were, and they're all in fucking Florida. Like
Oh yeah.
that state was covered in dots.
No, not dogs, cats. It was covered in cats, John.
I said dots, but
Oh.
okay.
Okay, Matt wins because I, weirdly enough, support him turning gay and doing meth.
Oh, that's what we got from it.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the fact that John doesn't want pets.
John wants a hamster, so he didn't answer the question correctly at all.
Yeah, to be fair, Matt actually wants what he was arguing for, so it was a lot more sort of compelling. It sounded like he meant it.
And also, I helped you
Just like
discover your
conviction, John.
wife's plan for children. Well, I think because this is episode
Home
104.
say?
This is episode 104, isn't it? So this is the final episode of season 2, year 2, whatever we're going to call it. So I imagine this will be our final suggestion of the week, won't it?
Well,
Probably.
maybe the suggestion of the week should be to suggest what we do next year.
Yeah. If anyone's got any
And the
ideas,
result will be nothing.
give up making podcasts. There's too many there already.
Yeah, with the market is saturation now, with everyone else bored on lockdown. Like, oh, should we like record our calls and we'll reset the podcast? No, we did that first. We did that for all of you.
I wouldn't say we were doing it before it was cool. We were just doing it so far after it was cool, it had come back around to be retro again. We were getting so much flack off of everyone. I don't know about you two, but people messaging me with pictures of it's like, please, I beg of you, if you're a 30-something white male during the middle of lockdown, please don't start a podcast. Nobody cares.
Joke's on you. We've been doing it for 2 years.
Yeah, we've got 104 episodes for you to enjoy during your lockdown. We did this for you. Oh God, we're going back to the thing where it's a conspiracy that we started the coronavirus. And it wasn't us, it was them damn 5G towers.
Also means there's at least, if not more, 2 solid days of listening of us just talking shit available on the internet. 2 solid days.
I know. I did.
I still reckon they play us on repeat as torture somewhere.
Oh yeah, like Chinese water torture.
Yeah.
I saw a thing, like how bad the conspiracy, and it was obviously a piss take, but how bad the conspiracy theory things get. Someone tweeted saying, how can anybody seriously blame the 5G towers when they're only in 5 countries and COVID-19 is in 184 countries? And someone replied to it saying, well, 184 countries, let's think about this. 184 as in one has eaten 4, that makes 5. COVID-19, 7 letters. What's the 7th letter of the alphabet? G. 5G. The government's just trying to cover it up and it's right there in plain sight. Open your eyes. And I was like, what? Like, what? It just sounds like one of those riddles that your 5-year-old tells you. Like, oh, what's brown and sticky? What? A dog. What?
I think the thing is no matter what you argue with a conspiracy theorist, they will always find a way to bring it back to their argument. Confirmation bias. Doesn't matter what is said or done.
And the problem is, even if what you're saying to the conspiracy theorist makes sense, they're just going to assume that you're in on the conspiracy. So
Yeah.
you might
Shows
as
you
well.
how little they're informed. I'm not in on anything.
Yeah, not since
I
last
was
time.
the second choice John in this podcast.
And that was because all the other Johns said no.
Yeah. Anyway, can I ask question number 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the under the guise of public safety, would you rather we had a curfew or we were all on a genetic and fingerprint database?
I don't know. I'd be quite happy for both, to be perfectly honest.
I'd prefer a curfew because I don't like staying out too late anyway. I get kind of tired, and it's a good excuse to go home. So yeah, and I don't want the feds chasing me with my fingerprints.
I guess I'll go. Well, I won't guess that I'll go. I have to go in the opposite direction. But the amount of industries, especially the hospitality industry, that's taken such a hit at the moment, a curfew would just be even more damaging to it. A part of me likes the idea. It's been quite nice, actually. Like, rather than us all collectively doing our own thing on weekends or every evening, it's actually like, well, we're stuck inside, so because we all live so far away from each other, we've been being a bit more social because we can't be social with the people that live nearby. And it's just further proof, I think, that you're only social with the people that live nearby because they live nearby. Whereas if you had the choice of anyone, you're probably going to pick other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I might be dropping a load of people into it that listen right now, but hey ho. Like, given the choice between physically going to the pub or chatting to someone on the phone, historically, if you spent every Friday night in on the phone to someone, it was like, you're a bit antisocial. But now, because we have to do it, we've all collectively, as a populace, gone, actually, this is all right. It's a lot cheaper. I don't have to dress up. Like, I can leave whenever I want and I haven't got to pay for a taxi. Like, there's just snacks available and I haven't got to go to the bar and say, oh, have you got any peanuts? And they go, we can't do peanuts. We've got crisps. What flavours have you got? Oh, we've only got that really weird... Yeah, that really weird flavour that no one's ever heard of or likes because we're trying to be cool and trendy. Like, there's so many pros to it. And if you actually wanted to be spending time with those people that are close to where you are, then you'd be having those, like, Skype and Zoom dates with them. Which I'm sure there are people that are doing that, because not everybody's best friends live on other sides of the country. But so I do kind of like the idea of that side of things, but I think the further repercussions for the industry would be bad. However, if everyone was... Go on, sorry.
I was just going to say, I'm not sure that a curfew would necessarily be bad for the industry. I think people have a certain amount of spending money, and they will spend it in whatever time they have available. So if you tell people, yeah, you can stay out till 2 a.m, then they'll just go out later. If you tell them, oh, you have to be home by 10 p.m, then they'll just start their binge drinking earlier.
Happy hour starts at 6. Woohoo!
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think, and let's be honest, we've all been on big nights out. Nothing good happens after 2 a.m. Nothing.
Well,
no, there's no exceptions to that rule.
That's what happens.
There's nothing good happens after 2. You could end the night at 2 and everybody would go home happy.
I would counter argue that and say nothing good happens after 2 after the age of 25.
Sure. I mean, whatever. I've been over 25 for a while now. I don't remember what it's like to be under 25.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. It depends what time the curfew is, because if the curfew was, like you said, 2 a.m. every day, like, fine, nothing's really going to be that bad. But,
I mean, I just gave that as an example, but I'm quite happy for it to be 10. That's also fine.
But that means, like, you know, especially on like Friday nights, you finish work, you go home, you get changed. By the time you've done all of that, you're not getting out till 7:30. That only gives you 2.5 hours. If you want to go and see a film, you better hope that you can get to the cinema for 7:30, because that's going to be the last showing times. Because you've got all of the trailers, which take half an hour. Films are generally at least 2 hours long these days, and you've still got to get home as well. So that really, especially for all you 9-to-5ers, that only opens up...
A lot of offices let you leave early on Friday. Mine does.
Okay.
Also, the longer I'm at home, the more I reckon I can convince my wife to invest in all the gadgets that I've always wanted. So, for example, I've already got like Wi-Fi light bulbs, but I need a box that I plug into the back of my TV that means I can then sync the lights with what's on the screen. So that's another thing I have to spend money on. And if I'm at home another month or two, I reckon I can persuade her that that's a really good investment. Whereas if we're not at home every weeknight and every weekend, she'll be like, you don't need that. But Kirsten, we can never go to the cinema. There's curfew. I need to buy these things. I need surround sound speakers. That's the other thing I really want. Surround sound speakers.
You've still got your own disposable income. You could just buy them.
Yeah, I could, but it's about when it's in a shared space and I install the speakers, screw them into the wall or whatever, and she'll be like, those are ugly. I just need to persuade her that it's the right thing to do.
You could just say this is happening, so either you can get on board
or divorce me.
Well, no, because you're saying, look, it's not going to affect you other than that you might have to look at them. It's going to enhance both of our lives, and I'm willing to pay for them. So just join me when I'm picking the ones that you like the look of.
Yeah, but there's this. I'm just saying, like, that's just one example. There's lots of gadgets that I want.
So we've not even got onto my side of the argument yet, but very, very quickly. So you want there to be a curfew so that you can blackmail your wife into not blackmail, but is it entrapment? it's definitely something. Yeah.
Well, it just means I've got more of an excuse.
Biometrics and all of that jazz, the world would be a much safer place. Yeah, you could talk about Big Brother and everybody's watching and blah, 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 but crime rates would go down. It would be a much safer place to live. Like, they're already pretty much doing it anyway, just not officially. Like, we get tracked on our devices and, like, genuinely, and I know we've spoke about this before, but we'll talk about something when we're recording this, and we're on Skype, and then on my phone, when I go downstairs for a cigarette, I'll be scrolling through Facebook and I guarantee an advert for surround sound speakers will come up on Facebook. It's 100% happened before. So this would just make things easier. If I could just not have to carry cards and cash and whatever around with me, it's just all connected up to a retina scan and a fingerprint. Go into a restaurant, boop, there we go, there's my fingerprint. Ah, yes, your table's over here. And I don't even need to pay. The money is just taken from my account when I leave because it was my fingerprint. Like, I don't see any downside to it.
I definitely agree that technological advancements and that sort of thing are great, as long as there's, like, democratic oversight and layers of security and preventing people from abusing it. But the problem is the more power a state has, the closer you are to tyranny. Like, it's one thing here where, you know, you've got courts and all things to potentially stop abuses of that power. But, like, if you think of, like, places where this is actually in reality, like, quite far advanced, like during the lockdown in Hong Kong, I think if you arrive at the airport and you've been you've been somewhere where they've got corona, or, you know, this was back a few weeks ago when it mattered. They basically said, yep, you need to go into WhatsApp and you need to enable let me see your location, and you need to keep that on constantly for the next month, and we're going to check to make sure you don't leave your house. And
what's wrong with that? I think that's a good thing.
Well, maybe nothing. Yeah, it keeps everyone safe, but people go missing in China for, like, no reason. Oh, someone's criticised the government, said, oh, you've been like not doing a good job in, like, keeping people alive. Oh, suddenly they're gone, never heard from again.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to move to China though, so.
Yeah, but that you're basically like.
And plus, where's your proof? It sounds like you're just paranoid. It sounds like you're in there with the flat earthers and the 5G.
No, I don't think it's paranoid. I think, like, being able to closely monitor and know where your citizens are at all times is one of the number one tools that a dictator or tyrannical leader would choose to have if they had the option. If they wanted to, like, keep their citizens in check, that is definitely one of the top things that they would ask for. And
it's the same thing that a lot of parents would happily do with their children until they turned 18.
Yeah,
doesn't make it right, but
some parents are too mollycuddly, and it impacts their child's development.
but just needs to be in the hands of the right people. Exactly
Yeah,
the same.
exactly.
Exactly the same with the curfew. It's all right saying a curfew, but if the curfew was put in, it was 7 p.m. and it was, like sirens and stormtroopers out on the street at 7 p.m. every night, and you were going to get locked up and fined thousands of pounds if you were like a minute late getting home, then that's ridiculous. So it all depends about who's actually running these things. But I think if they were run correctly, then I think there'd be more benefits to the keeping the tabs on people than there would on the curfew. Because you're going to have night workers, you're going to have emergency call-out people. Like, there's going to be a lot of sort of loopholes you need to have in the curfew. Whereas for keeping tabs on everyone, you wouldn't have to have any loopholes. It's just that's it. And all it is, I see a lot of it, it's just grouping a lot of information together. How much information do you have to give when you get a new job, or you open a bank account, or apply for a mortgage? They want to know your national insurance number, so you've got to go and get a bank statement or have your ID card. They want proof of who you are, which has to be a passport because nowhere accepts a driver's license. Then they want to know proof of your last 17 addresses. And this, if it was just all in one place, it would just make everything so much easier and more streamlined. Plus, I've got nothing to hide. What about you, John?
I got plenty to hide.
I'm a lot more on the fence than this because I thought it would just be as simple as I've got nothing to hide. I like staying out late, but I don't really like staying out late.
Exactly.
Everything in curfew that I would have done, I've been able to do over the internet. I've saved myself. I've not put any fuel in my car for over a month now.
But
I would have to be doing a full tank every 10 days, something like that.
surely having
Saved
the
myself
option,
well over 200 quid.
but having the option to do that, there's so many times that you could want to or need to break that curfew where you physically can't. Why would your life change in any way, shape or form if the government kept an extra 5% tab on you more than they already currently do? I'd happily trade that for the ease. Imagine how simple your house buying process would have been if you and your lovely wife walked into the bank. This is what we want to do. Okay, can we just scan your eyeballs and take your fingerprint IDs? Bloop, bloop. Okay, we've got your details, and computer says yes. Let's go.
It's fine until...
So I told about 30 people the same information every time. It's just so
Yeah.
It's fine until you're the one that's being hunted down.
Yeah, but if I'm being hunted down, I assume it's because I've done something wrong.
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they just don't like your opinions anymore.
Well, if that did happen, I can tell you one thing that would change. Wouldn't be making this podcast anymore.
Well,
far too incriminating.
Well, that's the thing. We won't know until it's too late. You'll be gone.
Well, Johns, I'll see you in the gulag.
I'm going to go with be on the database.
Yes! I can't believe I won
What I
that.
thought it was going to do. But yeah, go on the database. Everything's easier. Because we don't live in a communist, fascist, anything like that, socialist state, and we have democracy, so people can't get rid of us for speaking out.
Hopefully.
I got worried because I forgot that I wasn't arguing for the curfew at the start. I don't know if you know, if either of you noticed, but I went, oh shit, this isn't what I'm doing. Okay.
I noticed.
And I've also not thought about how I'm going to argue the pro of the thing that I accidentally picked. Okay. But yeah.
I mean, bear in mind that, no, it's fine. Just, I maybe should have made the point already that we've already had local elections in May are cancelled. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah. But it's like when people go, oh, Alexa's listening. I don't care. I just don't care.
I don't say anything interesting enough that someone at Amazon's going to listen and be bothered.
Yeah, what's the worst thing that happens? Like I said, I get Facebook ads that suggest things that I kind of want. Great, thanks. That's it.
Ready for the last question?
Yeah.
This is the last one in my public safety section I thought of the other day. Would you prefer all forms of transport were sentient and could talk, or we had guns?
Transformers all the way. Yes.
I didn't say Transformers.
You said they were sentient. They said they were sentient and they could talk. How long would it be before they evolved and became Transformers? Transformers.
Well, no, it's more like Kit from Knight Rider.
I mean, that's basically a Transformer that's given up transforming.
Not a Transformer.
So, or the other option was, or we had guns.
Yeah, guns all the time.
We have guns. We don't have sentient cars. So sentient cars, whether or not they can transform, which they'd evolve and they'd 100% be able to transform, but sentient car, but if you get Autobots and you get Decepticons, that is dangerous. And it wouldn't matter if we had guns or not. We'd have to rely on the Autobots.
I've just realised I basically asked the question: would you rather be in a Transformers film or be in America?
Yeah.
America exists.
America does exist.
And
No,
everyone who lives in America thinks that America is the best country in the world. Coincidence?
True. That is
Yeah.
true.
The only downside I can see to having a sentient car that can talk
Is having Michael Bay direct a movie about you.
is, have you ever given someone a lift somewhere and you just do not want to talk to them? Not because they've done anything wrong or because you dislike them, but it's just been one of those and all you want to do is put on your music or put on a podcast or just sit in silence and just not deal with stuff. How rude would that be if your poor car, like especially now, I'd have to go outside, sit in it and have a chat with it. I'd have to hope that I get on with the car. Like, you wouldn't be going out and buying a car and checking, like, for its mileage or for, you know, if it's got anything wrong with it. You'd be checking on, like, do we get on? Is he a good lad? Do we have similar interests?
See, this is more where I thought where this conversation was going to go, because I thought I quite enjoy sitting in my car alone, doing things alone, and I thought, how annoying would it be if my car could talk to me? I don't think I'd get on with that. But then I thought, oh, if you're on a bus, the bus would be aware of who's getting on and what people are doing. So all the stabbings at the back of the bus probably wouldn't occur because the bus would be on personal terms with you.
Plus, what if you got a female car and your car fell in love with you, and then every time you tried to give your partner a lift somewhere, refused to let them in?
Car got judgy, refused to let the seatbelt lock.
Or you got into a disagreement about, let's say I was like, oh, we recorded a new episode of the podcast this week, Frank. Oh, cool. Should we have a listen? Yeah, okay. And I put it on for Frank. We then discuss it afterwards. He thoroughly prefers the idea of having a tiny dog. We fall out. He just stops.
You walk to work.
I'm going to be late for work, Frank. Not until you apologise. For fuck's sake, Frank. Don't be so tetchy. Oh, I'm tetchy, am I? Get out. No, Frank, come on, get out. And then you get out, and then Frank's like driving 5 meters away, so you walk to catch up, and then he drives 5 meters away, so you walk to catch up.
Yeah, that would be quite annoying, wouldn't it, Matt?
I did it to John while we were playing Call of Duty the other night. It was hilarious.
While we're on the subject of arguments, I just want to say there is no argument that can't be resolved by a gun. In fact, until sort of probably late 19th century, that was the way that all respectable gentlemen ended arguments that couldn't be resolved. They said, well, I demand satisfaction. I'll see you on the dueling field. And there was no argument because whoever lost the duel was silent.
Yeah. I mean, by that, I would say nowadays, just because you've shot someone doesn't mean that you've won the argument. You can still be wrong and a murderer.
But debatable.
I would.
Is it murder if you both agree to? I mean, yeah, legally, yes, it is.
Yeah.
But yeah. I just mean morally. If you both agree to a duel and stand by your code of gentlemanly honour, what is wrong with killing your once best friend, now mortal enemy?
But then by saying that, John, you're basically saying that violence trumps words. And you're saying that if Mike Tyson and you had a disagreement about something which you knew wholeheartedly you were correct on, and then he said, you know what, we'll settle this with a fight instead, and then he punched you and you died, that wouldn't then make him correct. That would just make him still wrong and you not only dead, but an idiot. So there are flaws to that argument, I would argue. However, I'll go back to pluses of the sentient talking car. It would make it easy when you're buying cars because You could just talk to the car and just say, look, seriously, what work needs doing to you? What's this? It'd be much easier to fix them, to keep them with the upkeep, because they'd be able to help you out. I mean, it just depends on the temperament of the car, but then it also depends on the temperament of the person that's selling it to you.
Also, you don't have to agree to the duel. You can just turn down the duel and lose all your honour. So,
Yeah.
What happens if you didn't have any anyway?
If you didn't have any honour.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Then
I
you're
suppose
free.
If you didn't have your honour, you just shoot them in the back anyway.
Yeah, or you just turn down the duel.
Well, my closing statement is that if I could have, I mean, it's not necessarily a talking car, but it is a sentient. I'd have Herbie.
Of all the cars, you'd have Herbie.
I'd have Herbie.
And I'd have a Magnum.
John wins.
Is that just because you've had chocolate and ice cream today?
No, it's because I really need a win to get off the podcast.
All right, well, these two have been John. I've not been. And apparently guns are better than fucking Transformers.
No, because you didn't pick Transformers, you picked a Disney film.
Because you told me I couldn't have a Transformer. You said they didn't transform.
Well, you could have the personality of the Transformers, or Knight Rider, or you could pick cool celebrities to put in your car.
I could hear your son in the background. I was trying to keep it universal.
How cool would it have been to drive around in a Merc with Samuel L. Jackson's voice? Not just as sat-nav.
I stand by Herbie.
No.
Herbie goes bananas. I want to be with him.
No, mate, stop it. I've got a child invading me. I've got a wee that I need to do. I'm hanging up. I love you much.